Good evening, and welcome to Nocturnal Enigmas. The Pit Stop. It was a dark and stormy night when Adrian found himself driving along an unfamiliar country road. The rain was pouring down, and visibility was near zero. The gas gauge warning light blinked on, forcing him to find a place to refuel. After several minutes, an old, dimly lit sign appeared ahead. Last gas for 50 miles. Relieved, Adrian turned into the station. The place looked like it hadn't been renovated in decades. Rust ate away at the gas pumps and the small adjacent convenience store. The windows were grimy, obscuring the inside. Shivering from the cold rain, Adrian began pumping gas. While waiting, he decided to use the restroom to wash his hands and face. Walking to the side of the building, he saw a sign pointing towards the restroom. The door was a heavy, rusted metal slab. Adrian hesitated for a moment, considering returning to his car, but the urge to freshen up overpowered his instincts. The door creaked ominously as he entered. The room was barely lit by a flickering overhead bulb. The walls were a mix of dirt and mold. As he washed his hands, he felt a sudden gust of cold air. The door behind him slammed shut with an echoing thud. Startled, Adrian rushed to it and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. From the corner of his eye, he noticed the floor drain in the center of the room begin to bubble. A thick, crimson liquid oozed out, quickly pooling around his feet. The metallic scent of blood filled the air. The drain's grating shifted, and a grotesque hand, gray and decomposing, clawed its way out, followed by another. Terrified, Adrian stumbled back, slamming into the door. The hands reached for his legs, trying to pull him towards the drain. Frantic, Adrian kicked and fought, tearing his leg away with a gory wound where the hand had clawed him. He pounded on the door, screaming for help. Suddenly, the overhead light died out, plunging him into darkness. All he could hear was the wet gurgling from the drain and the shuffling of whatever was trying to emerge. In a desperate act, Adrian used all his strength and slammed into the door. It gave way, and he tumbled outside, gasping for air. Rain washed away the blood that had splattered on him. Staggering to his car, he sped away from the nightmarish station. When he finally reached a well-lit town, Adrian reported his experience to the local police. Skeptical, they went to investigate the old station, but found nothing out of the ordinary. The bathroom was abandoned, the drain dry and rusted. But one thing they did note: the door to the restroom had long been bolted shut from the outside. Adrian never traveled that road again. But sometimes, on stormy nights, he could still hear the wet gurgling and the faint echo of his own terrified screams. The Glass Prison. Samantha awoke with a start to the hum of whispers and the occasional chuckle. Her eyes darted around, taking in her strange new surroundings. She found herself encased within a seamless glass box, the world outside bustling with indifferent faces. The verdant sprawl of a city park unfolded around her, the sun casting its relentless rays upon her transparent prison. Panic twisted in her gut, and she immediately began banging on the glass, her pleas for help bouncing off the walls. The crowd that had formed around the box seemed to watch her struggle with morbid fascination, no shred of empathy within their eyes. Many of them held devices, their attention divided between watching her plight in real time and on the small screens in their hands. Time sluggishly crawled forward, the air within the box growing increasingly stifling. Samantha's screams turned into hoarse whispers, her hands aching from her fruitless attempts to shatter her clear cage. With every passing second, her spirit dwindled, shrinking beneath the relentless gaze of her indifferent audience. Hours turned into an endless nightmare. Samantha, weakened and teary-eyed, succumbed to the oppressive heat and the haunting solitude amongst the crowd. She curled up, the murmurs of the onlookers fading into the distance, the world outside blurring into shadows and lights. The box became her world, her universe, a place where she was both the center of attention and utterly alone, a spectacle for the cold-hearted. Days turned into nights, and nights into days, the cycle of silent screams and watchful eyes becoming an eternal dance of despair. Eventually, Samantha ceased her pleas, her movements. The glass box became her tomb, her silent body a haunting memorial in the center of the vibrant park. The onlookers slowly dispersed, leaving the transparent coffin as a grim reminder of the silent tragedy that unfolded amidst their indifference. The park, once a place of joy and laughter, turned into a field of whispers and sorrowful gazes. The transparent coffin, a monument to the silent cries that once echoed within its walls. Samantha's silent form, forever encased within, became the silent judge to the indifferent many, her glassy eyes reflecting the haunting solitude of a heart left unseen. Chronicles of Agony. In the whispering shadows of the woods, where sunlight seemed almost shy to step, a band of curious youngsters discovered an incongruous, forbidding military-style box, a relic seemingly abandoned. It bore the weight of myriad secrets, the rusty padlocks whispering silent screams, deep and tormented. The kids, their hearts enlivened with the thrill of discovery, huddled around, eyes wide with expectation, fingers twitching around the rusty locks. "Let's crack it open," Josh exclaimed, his voice betraying a mixture of excitement and fear. The shadows watched, their whispers growing louder. Finally, it was Skylar, the de facto leader of the troop, who managed to pry open the box with a stolen crowbar. The instant the locks broke, a silence consumed the woods, as if time itself held its breath, and an inescapable chill caressed their spines. Inside the box, they found an assortment of grainy black and white photographs, each one a harbinger of dread, depicting mutilated bodies, limbs sprawled out in ungodly angles, eyes vacantly staring into the void. Faces of the deceased were marked with agony and terror eternally etched upon them. It seemed as though the hapless souls had been experimented upon, bodies defiled by tools unseen and unimaginable. There were scattered documents, yellowed with age and stained with blotches of brown, littered with inked confessions of a deranged killer, a soldier whose name was swallowed by shadows and time. The words danced in crimson, speaking of ghastly experiments and the dance of death. His reasons were shrouded in delusions of purification, the cleansing of souls through unholy torment. The air grew colder, and the whispers of the shadows fused into tormented wails. A palpable presence enveloped them, unseen eyes piercing their souls, gnashing teeth, whispering their names in a mournful symphony. Panic struck their hearts. Their once curious gazes morphed into reflections of the photographed agony. Suddenly, the photos and documents aged rapidly, decaying into dust before their terrified eyes. The unseen presence congealed into a visible mist, shapes within murmuring of untold pain and everlasting suffering. The very air around them seemed to bleed, hues of red staining the peripheries of their vision. They sprinted through the whispering shadows, their hearts racing, the haunting chorus of wails chasing them. Every tree seemed to reach out, every shadow concealing a tortured face, eyes brimming with eternal tears. They ran till the woods were a distant whisper, and the light of the known world embraced them. The box, once a holder of untold horrors, locked itself once again, the shadows caressing its cold surface, whispers turning into silent screams. And the kids, they were forever marked by the shadows, eyes haunted with the glimpses of man's macabre dance with death. The woods continue to whisper, and the shadows continue to wail, the locked box waiting in eternal patience for another curious soul to unleash the chained horrors within. Vellichor Nocturne. In the shadow-clad corners of a decaying town named Obscura, a cursed bottle concealed a scent most malevolent, Vellichor Nocturne. The antiquated apothecary, wherein this cryptic cologne nestled, was shrouded in whispers and wayward shadows, its existence almost as forgotten as the lost souls entwined within the demonic elixir. A wary wanderer named Jude, unbeknownst to the macabre tales, ventured into the apothecary one bleak evening, drawn by the allure of arcane relics. As he browsed, his eyes fell upon Vellichor Nocturne, its darkened liquid whispering of forbidden worlds. Ensnared by intrigue and an inexplicable compulsion, Jude applied the cologne. The air immediately became saturated with an unearthly fragrance, sweet like the forbidden fruit, yet tainted with the putrid essence of the netherworld. The shadows around him danced as if alive, whispering incantations of the damned. The walls of the apothecary seemed to convulse, revealing the ghostly pallor of grotesque faces imprisoned within. The whispers became urgent, and a legion of crimson-eyed shadows emerged, their ethereal fingers reaching out, stroking the air around Jude. He felt his soul ensnared, the demonic entities absorbing his essence with insatiable hunger. Every step Jude took outside the apothecary seemed to beckon a symphony of malevolent whispers, attracting legions of shadowy demons from the very grounds of Obscura. The town became a living nightmare as its streets filled with phantoms of every grotesque form, clawing at the remnants of his being. The ghastly entourage followed Jude through winding streets and abandoned alcoves, their whispers intertwining with his every breath, etching ancient curses upon his soul. His shadow became a tangled dance of demonic silhouettes, whispering the twisted tales of their damnation, as his very essence slowly melted into the sea of shadows, becoming one with their eternal torment. The once living town of Obscura was now suffused with shadow and macabre whispers. The demonic entities lingered, invisible to the uninitiated, seeking another soul to be drawn by the cursed allure of Vellichor Nocturne. Jude, now a whisper among the shadows, wandered the twisted lanes of Obscura, his eyes hollow yet ablaze with the crimson flame of eternal damnation, seeking to share the torment laden in the demonic fragrance. The cursed bottle of Vellichor Nocturne, concealed within the forsaken apothecary, waits to be discovered once more, ready to unveil its dance of shadows and draw another soul into the eternal symphony of the damned. Living hell. In a realm where silence bore the echoes of screams, Elias found himself awakening amid an ocean of fire and ash. The air was a labyrinth of torment, each wail a tale of eternal despair. Boundless torment surrounded him, souls entwined in perpetual agony. He felt the infernal symphony resonating within his very being, the air thick with the acrid stench of brimstone. A shred of human resilience still clung to his spirit, fueling a desperate spark of defiance. An urge to escape the labyrinth of shadows consumed him. Elias, harnessing the remnants of his will, traversed the haunting abyss, his every step shadowed by the emaciated figures of tormented souls. In his harrowing journey, Elias stumbled upon an ancient, crumbled archway, veiled in shadows darker than the infernal night. A series of insidious whispers emanated from the archway, each murmur a mosaic of forbidden incantations. The archway was an illicit gateway, a path barred by demonic sentinels, their eyes pools of liquid crimson. Elias, fueled by the glimpses of celestial light piercing through the eternal shadows, invoked the forbidden incantations. The archway pulsed with malignant energy, the air around him saturated with whispers of the eternally damned. The infernal guardians, their forms a dance of shadows and fire, descended upon him, their claws etched with ancient curses. His voice became a conduit for the spectral chorus of 1,000 damned souls, the power of their collective torment colliding with the infernal sentinels. A cacophony of shadows and fire erupted around him, the archway convulsing, birthing a rift between the infernal and the celestial. Summoning every fragment of his will, Elias traversed the rift, his essence intertwining with the boundless energy of conflicting realms. He felt his being stretching through the infinitesimal spaces between worlds, his soul branded with the remnants of infernal torment. With a deafening silence, Elias found himself expelled into the realm of the living, the shadowy tendrils of hell reluctantly releasing their infernal grip. His body, now a living tapestry of tormented whispers, resonated with the lingering echoes of the damned. His escape cast a shadow over his existence, his every step haunted by the whispered tales of eternal anguish. The shadows around him seemed to dance with the ghostly pallor of demonic silhouettes, their crimson eyes forever imprinted upon his soul. Elias, now a wanderer between realms, bore the infernal brand, a living testament to the harrowing abyss beneath existence. The whispers of the damned became his eternal companions, their spectral shadows, his relentless pursuers, a reminder of the infernal labyrinth he once escaped, and the eternal shadows that linger, waiting to reclaim their forsaken soul. The burning man